Sviatoslavotchenash. Today we are supporting the community of New PMU and organizers Anna and Maru. Today we will learn how to make eyebrows, and I want to play a prize for you. Please repeat my drawing. I am making this video especially for you. Please repeat all my steps and technique and do it just like I did. The winner who does the best drawing will receive my new machine for permanent makeup. This machine is not yet on sale, but you can get it first. Please follow my page. There are videos that might help you in this process. So let me repeat the task. Please draw an eyebrow, fully repeating my design. Today I want to show you the technique that is called Magic Combinate. It is a combined technique. What is it about and what are the advantages? It is easy enough and suitable for beginners as well as for experienced makeup artists. Since hair stroke technique may not be suitable for all people or may be lacking in saturation, I suggest that you pay attention to this very interesting technique. Additionally, this technique heals quite well when we work with our clients. Please repeat the complete process of creating an eyebrow on paper. The task is quite simple. You just need a pencil and paper. Well, and of course, an eraser. Perhaps in this video you will see something new for yourself, maybe something will be unusual, but the one who will do everything carefully and will repeat the drawing exactly will receive a prize from UPMU and from me personally. Thank you all for watching and thank you all very much for your participation. I wish you all good luck and I hope that you will win. Thank you once again. Today we will learn how to make combined permanent powder eyebrows. Combined eyebrows consist of hairs and shading. Let's begin. The first thing to do is to draw a horizontal line, then mark how long your eyebrow will be. Next, above this line from above, starting from the right edge, draw a line that will rise or be placed at an angle of 5 to 10 degrees. You draw this line and it should be perfectly straight. Don't draw a semicircular line. This line has to be 10-12 inches long. Then start drawing the line of the eyebrow tail. It shouldn't be 10-12 inches, but approximately 6-7 inches. After that, we'll outline the width of the eyebrow. Please draw the line and one more line here. The line should be a little larger and this line should be a little shorter. Now we will connect from the top a straight line along the upper edge. Once again, the right line is larger, the left is smaller. Draw a straight line again on tail of the eyebrow. The first thing to do is to make such geometric shapes that look like an eyebrow even with such straight lines. The next step is to incline slightly the head of the eyebrow. The slope should be approximately 5 degrees. After that, we round the bottom edge of the eyebrow. We draw it all with the help of lines like this. Now we draw the top line. It should be about 2 millimeters and the bottom one is about 3 millimeters. You draw a line on the bend of the eyebrow. This line should be approximately 10-12 inches and then you draw a small line from below. After that, we will clean the unnecessary with a razor. Now our eyebrow has such outlines as I'm showing you in my drawing. Here we go. We already have natural eyebrows, but there are still some corners anyway. Now we have to use a pencil to make all the corners rounder and of course remove all the unnecessary. We make the corners rounder and remove all the unnecessary. And of course, remember your design should be as similar as possible to my drawing. Now we will need to apply the hair strokes, but before you have to determine in which part of the eyebrow the hair stroke will be drawn. Either they will go up or they will go down. I propose to make the most popular option when some hairs go upward and some hairs go downward. That is why we divide the eyebrows in this way. We plan that here the hairs will go upward, and starting from this line, they will go downward. After that, we need to take the black pen. We need it so that we cannot erase it and make sure it is permanent. So we start drawing everything with a black pen. Please repeat all the actions in the same way as mine. We draw the first hair stroke. Here, very close to the first one, we draw the second. These hairs will be long enough. Now we will draw a third hair stroke. Be sure that your strokes disperse like mine's. Here the distance should be less, and on the upper edge of the eyebrow the distance should be more. We draw the fourth hair stroke and the fifth one. And at this point, we will start drawing our hair strokes downward. With a simple pencil, I will show you the direction the hair stroke should disperse. We draw them in the direction going downward. And from this part, we will also draw small hair strokes. We continue with one small hair stroke and one more and one more. Please note that the distance between the hair strokes should be always the same. Note the distance going downward. And as for now, our pattern looks quite geometric and yet not that natural. After we have made the first layer of hair strokes with a black pen, we need to erase our pencil so that only black outline is visible. So we clean everything with an eraser and we have the skeleton of an eyebrow. Finally, and we need right now to turn this skeleton into a more natural form and design. How it's done? We will do some branching. So we will add one more hair stroke to each already existing hair stroke. We draw the first one, then again and again, and so we split our hair strokes. So for each hair stroke, we are adding one more at a time. With such movements, we double and disperse our hair strokes. And of course, try to be clean and don't draw beyond the shape and borders of the design. Each hair stroke can be dispersed several times. We have a long one, so we add our first hair stroke, second and third. We do the same thing here. We add one hair stroke and one more. And where we have free spaces, we can confidently add another hair stroke. At this point, our eyebrow already looks better, but it's not ready yet. The next step is to add saturation. We will try to split the hair strokes even more. Especially you need to pay attention to the middle zone of the eyebrow. Since this particular place will be shaded as much as possible in the end, the middle of the eyebrow should be as saturated as possible. We are now talking about a technique that heals very well and will be beloved by most of your clients. We can repeat these movements one more time and again and again. Don't be afraid of drawing a lot of hair strokes. This task is just for drawing and working out the technique. It doesn't matter which form they are right now. But the most important is the direction of your hair strokes. They have to go exactly in the same direction that I'm showing you in my design. So we went through the second stage and now we need to tint these hair strokes. Since this is a combined technique, we now have to paint the hairs. But before doing this, we have to take the first step to understand what part of the eyebrow we will be working with. Once again, we take a pencil and paint out the tail of the brow completely from this part until about this moment. We have to paint over the lower part completely. Your clients might like this technique more than just a stroke technique. We tint our eyebrow on paper by an analogy, as usually we work with a machine for permanent makeup. You have to repeat my movements upwards. Make sure that the movements are from the bottom upwards. We work out the same direction where our hair strokes are located. If our hairs grow downward, then we repeat the direction downward. It's important not to thin the eyebrow across the hair stroke. All directions should be as identical as possible to the direction of the hair strokes. So we made the first layer of the shading. Always work out your eyebrows from the center downward. And the other part of the eyebrow you can work out from the center upward. Remember this trajectory. From the middle part of the eyebrow upward and downward. This work should take you about half an hour of your time. You don't have to rush, nobody will check your timing. We will be evaluating just the beauty of your design. If you feel that one layer is not enough, you can add one more. If you suddenly did something wrong or extra with the pencil, you clean it with the eraser. So we move on, and once again we start from the tail of the eyebrow. This part of the tail should be very saturated, and the upper part of the tail should be as fluffy as possible. This part should be as light as possible, but don't be afraid if you overshadow it. In this design, the most important is accuracy and attentiveness. By analogy, as we usually do the shading with the meshing, we do the same on our drawing on the upper part of the eyebrow with exactly the same movements. So again, we go downward, and remember, try not to go beyond the outline of your design when you blend your eyebrows. Okay, we move on, and note and always remember that on models, this technique will be done in exactly the same way. So initially, you have to get used to doing everything in these directions, especially talking about directions of the hair growth. As for now, our eyebrow look already more saturated, more natural, despite that fact that these are just hair strokes. Be sure to work out the gaps that you haven't filled yet. We will now move to the second stage, and this shading has to make our eyebrow look very neat and delicate. You can wipe it with your finger. There is no need for an eraser and some improvisation. It is just your finger that can grade the pattern and make it even more beautiful. Always create such drawings and patterns at home and post them on your social media. Your customers will see the perfectly drawn eyebrows, of course will love them, and will also want those for themselves. Once again, we do it with your finger by erasing a pencil. This technique will make the eyebrow more delicate, as you see, but while wiping the eyebrow, you can go beyond the contour. So in order to clean, we again take the eraser and of course clean up the drawing. And once again, we go back to basics and of course return to the design that we originally outlined. Naturally, when we work with the client, we do not wipe the pigment. But it is the exact task for this design. Additionally, I didn't want to give you a very difficult task. So, stage 3, we have to add tails to the hair strokes we already have, and we will do it with a pencil to make the line lighter than a black marker. What does this mean? We have to draw a hair stroke which should be thinner and lighter. Such lines will give our drawing even more naturalness. They should end very delicate, precisely along the upper edge of the eyebrow, as you can see. In this way, here, you can bend towards the center of the eyebrow and make each hair brighter and thinner. In the middle, if you do not have enough saturation, you can also add some, a pencil won't make it very dark. These hairs will always be very, very thin. Don't forget that you need to use either a mechanical pencil or a pencil that you have very, very well sharpened. And while working, if you see that you cannot create a very thin hair stroke, then you have to sharpen pencil once again. This is how we make the upper clarifications on the upper part of the eyebrow. So we make the tail of each hair stroke lighter. It is very similar to the technique that we use on the models. Both from the top and bottom part, the hair strokes should be thin. You should bring it to perfect level of accuracy and don't mark the paper. This exercise is quite simple, despite the fact that you might never have done hair strokes. Here, in front, you can add some light hair strokes. We can add 2 short ones here that will make our eyebrow look even more natural. And then the same thing we will do on the bottom edge of the eyebrow. Here from the bottom edge we extend each hair stroke and make the tail of this hair thinner. We make the next hair stroke thinner too. And again, if you need, you can wipe with your finger a little and the drawing will look more delicate. There is no need to extend the hair strokes on the tail itself. We will do a little shading here so that the tail turns out more delicate and graceful. The tail should always be lighter. In no case should it be the darkest one. The darkest place should start somewhere here. We tint the bottom line very, very tightly. As a rule, many clients on the tail do not have enough hairs, so we make it more saturated. Again, if it is still not enough, then we can add saturation again, as you wish. It's not necessary to make eyebrows super saturated, but in order from them to look cool in picture, it is advisable to make them more saturated. And starting exactly from about this place, we also make our strokes along the lower edge of the eyebrow. Each hair stroke should be made with a pencil. And in the center of the eyebrow, we draw the hair strokes with a black pen. We use the black pen precisely so that we initially start learning to draw correctly. This will train you because if you don't succeed, you will have to draw another drawing and then another and then one more and one more. The biggest secret I'm revealing of many top masters is repetition. It's no secret that this takes time, but it has already been proven that the more you repeat and practice the technique, the more your professionalism grows. And the faster you start creating very beautiful works, such as you used to seeing in the examples of different top masters at large conferences, exhibitions, and congresses. Masters often keep back. They can show you the basics of their technique, but they won't reveal you some very important secrets and skills. And how much time will be required to master to gain it. So here in the middle part we're still coloring because there is still not enough saturation. We do not add shading to the end in this place. There should be more hair strokes left, but what we can do, we can add some saturation. We do the same for our customers. We draw the main part of the eyebrow with dark pigment. And then we take the light one and pass these hair strokes tails in such a way to make them thinner and more delicate. This is what gives naturalness to your clients. And since it's very difficult to do the hair strokes by yourself, by tinting this part of the eyebrow, even without a high level of professionalism, you can achieve quite good work. Not necessarily all the hair strokes have to be made perfectly. But the most important thing is that along the top edge of the eyebrow and along the bottom line in this place, which is closest to the head of the eyebrow, all the tails of all the strokes have to be made perfectly. So the most important thing is that everything is ship-shape in this place. Stroke styling itself doesn't need to be fully taught. In the middle, there is no need to repeat the hair strokes because all the same, we paint them during the procedure. We tint, trying to remove all the spots and gaps. We try to make the eyebrow as even as possible, and don't forget to make it as delicate as possible. You can also wipe the middle part of the eyebrow a little with your finger. After that, we erase the rest. I would like you to draw something like this, repeating the movements. All professional artists use this technique. Sometimes they wipe with the finger too, so it's not a surprise for you anymore. This is quite normal if you do so too. We remove all unnecessary, wipe and get such a delicate eyebrow. Using this technique on the model will allow us to achieve the most natural eyebrows ever. Those masters who do not know how to draw hair strokes can use the combined technique. Sometimes it can take time to finish it. Anyway, it depends on your patience. The more you train, the better result you will get. You have to devote enough time to do this. Perhaps the first time you may not succeed, but as a practice shows, firstly, if you want and find time for practicing this drawing, you will raise your level of professionalism, and secondly, participation in the competition is always interesting and motivates you to work more and be better than others. So, here's my design. I want you to draw the same one. I think that this work isn't something very complex, and many of you will be able to repeat it. I'm even afraid that it will be very difficult for me to choose the winner. I hope that you will work it out and everyone will succeed. And we may soon meet in live. Thank you all for your attention. Take part in our competition and win prizes. Good luck to you guys.